Colorado, Dan Lanning, they came out and they dominated. They recorded his pregame speech. They get up 42-0. It was 35-0 at the half. At one point, they were outgaining Colorado like 475 to 40 yards. I mean, it was an utter beatdown. And it was such a beatdown that the story coming out of this game was that Dan Lanning was somehow engaging in racist behavior by beating Colorado. This is crazy, okay? And the usual suspects kind of started to intimate this. I'm sure there's some who have said it outright. Wanting to beat your opponent and using every possible shred of motivation in order to beat them is the foundation of sports. And Deion and his team have talked a lot of smack. And as a result, that has, I believe, motivated a lot of their opponents. You almost saw it in week 3 when Colorado was very lucky to get past Colorado State as a monster 3+ touchdown favorite. And they got completely and totally waxed. Now, we'll see. I'm going to put up my gambling picks tomorrow. I'm about to go make them, send them into OutKick. But if you think that there is something improper about the way Oregon and Dan Lanning conducted themselves, you really need to get outside of the racial prism. The goal in college football is to win no matter who the opponent is, black, brown, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. You want your colors, that is the gold the yellow and green of Oregon versus the Colorado Buffalo colors. Those are the colors that matter. The ones on your uniform, your jersey that represent the university. And this is, to me, one of the dangerous parts about turning sports into identity politics by any other name. And unfortunately, this is what's happened with identity politics writ large. And this is why it wasn't that surprising to me as I made the move into talking more about politics, because sports basically became political. The opinions that you were allowed to have were a function of what your race and gender were. And everything was viewed through the prism of race and gender. And I'll give you an example, by the way. So Dan Lanning in Oregon's evidently racist for beating Colorado. Imagine what the reaction would have been if Jay Norvell was white and he had said that about Deion Sanders and wearing baseball caps and wearing sunglasses or whatever. There's possibility that Jay Norvell would have gotten fired in the wake of the hit that happened on Travis Sanders. You guys think I'm crazy. If he was a white guy, that might have happened. And this is the problem with using the prism of identity politics to dictate what you think of a game. The reality is this, okay? Colorado is having a good turnaround in year 1 under Deion Sanders. I think it's likely that they go 6-6 or 7-5 if everything comes together for them. I think they're going to lose to SC in the big noon game on Saturday. That will then undercut a lot of the interest in Colorado. Some of these stupid takes that I see from sports media, Skip Bayless came out and said that basically people want to beat Deion Sanders in Colorado because of racism. Stop. Dan Lanning responded to this. This is a stupid, idiotic take that, frankly, it feels desperate. Every college football coach in America wants to obliterate the team on the other sideline. That's even more the case when it's a top 25 matchup and there's a national televised audience. They're always selling. They're always branding their team. Dan Lanning, I don't know him personally. Do you really think that super racists end up college football head coaches? This is just a dumb take on its face. What do you want to do for a living if you're super racist? Coach young black athletes all day long, every day. Recruit young black athletes all day long, every day. And look, I understand there's also white athletes being recruited, Hispanic athletes being recruited, Asian athletes being recruited. Let's be honest. What is it, 70% of college football scholarship athletes, probably 70% are black, maybe higher, maybe 80% in major college football. Does that seem like a job that a racist would want? It is fundamentally insanely dumb to make that argument. It's like you don't even understand what the job is. You have to recruit all day long. You have to go travel all over the country and walk into a lot of black living rooms and talk to a lot of black moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and help to persuade them that you will do the best job of getting their kid to the best level of his performance, both in college and potentially the pros. Do you think that there's a lot of racists out there who say, you know what I want to do? I want to help ensure that these young black men graduate from college and become multimillionaires. This is so dumb. And this is where I get really fired up on the divisiveness of sports media, because there is a segment of the population that wants to use identity politics and argue it all the time. And read this book. I spend a huge part of my time talking about how important it is to reject identity politics. White, black, Asian, Hispanic, gay, straight, black, white, whatever you want to say. People come together for sports. It cuts across identity politics lines. When your team scores a winning touchdown, you don't think about the politics of the guy that you're high-fiving. You don't think about the politics of the girl that you're high-fiving. You're all united in a tribe trying to beat the other tribe. It's actually super healthy. The neurosurgeon and the janitor in a hospital can sit down at a table together and talk about why the Chicago Bears suck, or why the Denver Broncos gave up 70 points, or why Tua is so incredible so far this year for the Dolphins. Everybody's opinion is equal in sports. That's what's great about it. And the person who watches more sports and has better stats and better facts makes the better argument, and they're given more respect, regardless of background. And if you played, you're given more respect than somebody like me who just writes and talks about sports and never was able to play at an elite level. And if you say, I don't care what Clay Travis's opinion because of that, I understand it, I respect it. I'm not an X's and O's guy. I never have claimed to be. But to claim that this is because of racism, that Oregon wanted to crush Deion Sanders' Colorado team, is so dumb. The head coach of Colorado State happens to be black. I didn't even know this. He wanted to crush Deion Sanders' team. It didn't have anything to do with race. It had to do with the color of his school's tribal colors compared to the other school's tribal colors. If you're an Alabama fan, you want to crush Auburn. It doesn't matter whether the coach is white, black, Asian, Hispanic, gay, straight. Remember this is one thing that ESPN got right. The never graduate commercials that they used to run, where like people would try to trip other individuals who were fans of different teams in a kind of comedic fashion. That's why college football is so popular. Now, if you want to have an argument that NIL is going to make college football less popular, or you want to have an argument that the transfer portal is bad for college football, those are real arguments we can have. But to argue that people want to beat Deion because he's black is stupid. It's actually an insult to Deion. It's an insult to Dan Lanning. It's an insult to any college football fan out there. It's not about race. It's about the color of your team's colors compared to the color of the other team's colors. And it cuts across racial, sexual, all of these political lines. There is a common humanity in sports fandom that is absent in many other parts of American life. And when I hear stupid arguments like Skip Bayless's, frankly, it's just an insult. And it feels desperate to try to come up with a take that is completely without merit, in my always humble opinion.